Hey everyone, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez, coming at you today with a Veve OMI update video. Guys, if you're new, welcome. For not, welcome back. I love you all. Everyone say hello to Dashi. Hello, Dashi. Commenting, liking, and subscribing is a free way to help support the channel. Non-free ways are Patreon and smashing that super thanks button down below. As you can tell by my voice, I'm almost 100% better. Not quite there yet. Let's go with, start with the OMI. OMI down about 5% on the day, so finally the FUD has trickled in a little bit. Forcing OMI to go below 0006 and stay there. We are down to 00058. Now again, this kind of just happened. How long? Oh, you can't see that. How long are we going to stay there for? I'm not sure. Could we go lower? Absolutely. Before I go on and talk about what Veve and Ecomi could do better to retain users, to get more users, to kind of go on and tell people, hey, this project has a lot going for it. Let me read you something that I wrote. All right, maybe not 100% there yet. Okay. But here's something that I wrote, again, before we get into what I think is going to happen, most likely in Q2, why I think it's going to be in Q2, and again, what the team could do better. Here's a quick blurb that I wrote on Twitter the other day. Got quite a bit of traction, quite a bit of hate, but quite a bit of love, a little bit of mix. I've seen a lot of frustrations with the OMI token this bear market. Much of it comes as we've entered the bull market and the token's current utility, staking bronze ticket for bronze tickets MCP points, isn't the utility that people are most excited for, and the price staying where it is. I understand that it's hard to see everything else run up while OMI stays down, but I also understand that the night is darkest just before the dawn. And I promise you, the dawn is coming. That is a Batman reference, by the way. It might not be for several weeks or even several months, but there will come a time when the stars align, the narrative changes, and things are much brighter than they are right now. I've been pretty vocal about the team rolling out a few things by the time Q2 is up, but be advised that just because Veve executes and rolls out Veveverse, an exchange or two, OMI burns, new IP, new verticals, and more, doesn't mean that the price will move automatically. I've seen this happen with Tesla for 6 years, from 2013 through 2019. The company made new vehicles, sold everything it made more money, and built new factories. And the price didn't move at all during that time. What happened was that the narrative changed. More people started seeing the company was using its profits to grow, and that Teslas were safer and outperforming any other vehicle in the space. And then the price skyrocketed and made everyone a lot of money. Sure, you can sell your OMI now, lock in your losses, and chase green candles. It's likely that you'll make some money in the short term if there's no correction, but I think it has corrected by then. But just like the narrative changed for electric vehicles and Tesla in 2019, the narrative will change for digital collectibles, where Veve is currently number one and stands to gain the most in the space. And thus, the OMI token should rise at a commensurate rate. I'm not saying to not diversify or to not be upset, just that my faith in the team is unmatched, and I will continue to add more money to the ecosystem because I believe they will make me millions. What am I going to add to the ecosystem? And what are my expectations? Why can Veve do better? Well, I'll go over that in a sec. I'll just leave you with this. I have next to no expectations for Q1. Q1 is, if we're likely going to see how many bronze tickets we get by the end of Q1. I don't know if that's a trend that'll continue in Q2, Q3, whatever. But if we are told that we're likely going to be able to get our bronze tickets or know what they are by the end of Q1, we'll likely get an article saying, hey, here's how you can spend your bronze tickets when we have that drop, likely in Q2, which, again, when that happens, you can start burning for OMI eventually. MCP-specific drops. David had said, we're going to have those, and they're just around the corner. For a man that goes and thinks 3 and 5 plus years out, just around the corner is probably not 2 weeks from now. It's probably a couple months from now, probably in Q2. And again, Chavez, why Q2? Well, again, part of those reasons, and also because Earth 2, I know I've said this before, they are timing the launch of their token on exchanges with the Bitcoin halving. When is Bitcoin halving? Late April, Q2. I can only imagine that Veve is doing much the same. So what else can they do around that time? I don't know if it would make any sense to do this beforehand or afterwards, but here it is. I know Veve and Ecomi are not
you're not public companies, you're private, but where are these funds going? Like, I get it. I understand that, you have to pay people. You added on, what do you have, 100 employees right now? 120 more? You have the MCP team. You have the Ecomi team. Or what I mean like the blockchain team. Obviously, people that worked for Ecomi before that, the blockchain team is a new addition this past year. And you have to pay for the Viviverse. I don't know how much Cavernous costs. I don't know what the run rate is with that. But Vivi kind of learned their lesson in 2021, where they hired not so good people to code and build the app, and then suddenly when we have to migrate to Immutable X, and they realize it's all spaghetti code. Oh, hey, this was a bad idea. And then what do? You hire some more competent people, and obviously you have Mitch and Nestor, and 2023 was great. We have a whole bunch of new things, and the app performs and looks much better. But letting people know that you're better at resource allocation than you were a few years ago is probably going to be something to keep confidence in the market, in the team, in everything that you do. Raising money. We used to make millions of dollars per drop on the app, whether it was Marvel Mighties, whatever it was. We had a lot of users, we had a lot of money coming in, and obviously that was in a bull market. This bear market, you've seen the revenue decline, which is fine. Everyone's revenue is declining. You have a bunch of companies that have gone out of business. You have a bunch of companies that are scaling back, and Veve and Ecomi has only hired. I get that. That's great. But, a lesson you guys probably learned: when is the best time to raise capital? When you don't need it. I would have really liked, when Veve was worth multiple billions of dollars, like billions upon billions, to, sell a little bit of a company, raise a little bit of funds. What was that? Now, obviously, with the bear market and everything, and again, we're back in a bull market and things will get better, but just as of right now, company is still, I'm guessing, worth well over $1 billion, maybe even $2 billion still. I don't know. We don't know. It's not public. But why not go and raise $50, $100 million? You could scale at a better size. You could scale at a better rate. And I'm not talking about a $5 or $10 million Series A check. I'm talking about $100 million or more. Now that you know what works and what doesn't work, you guys can use smaller amount of competent people who can use things like Microsoft Copilot, which is like a 3x lever. It'll cost less, and then you could have just a better team. Speaking of team, marketing here. David's been talking about ambassador program for, I think, since 2021. Had a conversation with him in 2022, and I was like, hey, listen, I know you do want to launch your ambassador program soon, shortly. And I even told him, listen, if you feel that I do things on camera that doesn't, vibe with the vibe you want to put out, that's fine if you skip over me. That's fine if, other things are happening. I said, no, it's probably fine. I think he was looking to launch that in 2023. I get that you don't want to do certain things in a bear market, but bull market's here now. Mr. Beast, someone that's really good at marketing. And I'm not saying to get Mr. Beast. I'm not saying to spend, millions of dollars. I've long been an advocate for spending $250,000 to just get a couple of top tier Web3 influencers. But why do I bring up Mr. Beast? Because he made a burger restaurant with a burger that was not that good at the time. The first burger was pretty subpar, but it was successful. Why? Because he's an influencer which has 1 billion followers. He did the same with a very not good chocolate bar. Anyone had that chocolate bar? It is trash. Mr. Beast, I love you. It's not that good. Why is it the #1 chocolate bar in the country? Because he has 1 billion followers. Why did Penn Gaming buy Barstool Sports? Because they needed content creators. Again, I understand why you haven't launched an ambassador program or done any type of referral codes or whatever in a bear market. That's fine. In a bull market now, influencers are more efficient at building and distributing consumer goods because they have a built-in distribution system. If you want to make David's goal a reality of having hundreds of thousands of users within the next couple years, this is something that needs to be done. If that happens, again, all you need is a referral code. Why did Earth 2 blow up? Because you had that referral code. Oh, if you ever spend money on the market, on the tiles, on the store, not the secondary market, on the store, the person who uses your code gets 5% back, and you yourself get 5% back. I'm not telling Veve to like, hey, cut your profits by 10%. Make it 3%. Don't give the person that's spending any money back, but give the person whose referral code they use 3%. That is going to make a world of difference in getting more users. Bitcoin ETF, they're done. They got it. They're approved. Well, what's next? Well, you have the halving, and then you have the May 23rd deadline for an Ethereum ETF. Since the spot Bitcoin ETF has now been approved, it basically forces the hand of the SEC to approve it. This comes from Dr. Stuff saying, it's the same argument was made for spot Bitcoin ETF. The Bitcoin futures ETF was approved, so how can the spot one not be approved? Will be made for the spot ETH ETF. It appears that the price of ETH has already jumped some due to this speculation. However, if Bitcoin's price starts to move significantly over the next couple months as a result of the ETF approval, there's a really good chance that Ethereum will experience an additional big increase leading up to May. It will be interesting to see how it plays out. Again, that comes from Dr. Stuff. But okay, Chavez, you say Q2, but all right. And we know we're getting the MCP. Well, we don't know we're getting the MCP specific stuff, but we do know we're getting the ability to earn and use bronze tickets. Now, they said back in, I think Dan said in November, they're going to have more Veveverse beta invites in a couple weeks. And in December, we got them. And then like an hour later, after I had finally gotten my Hogwarts letter, finally got my Veveverse beta invite, they said, our mistake, sorry. Cool, things happen. Didn't send it out with an NDA, didn't do whatever. Okay, that's fair, that's fine. We'll likely get more Veveverse beta invites in Q1, and I do expect a rollout in Q2. Now, obviously, like Veveverse, where have we heard this type of talk before? Back in DesignerCon of 2022, they laid out a plan of having 4 phases of Veveverse rolled out in 2023. So I'm going to go and say I'll expect Veveverse rollout in the first half of 2024, phase 1. Now, obviously, there are 4 phases. I'm not going to say that we get all of them this year. I don't even say we get most of them this year. But I do think we get half. I think Veveverse beta rollout, which is, as long as it hasn't changed, we have OMI 2 accessory. If there's anything we want to buy in there, we use OMI. OMI gets burned. Fantastic. That's not going to be for everything. That's just going to be for Veve-specific IP. Veve couch, Veve toilet paper, whatever. But I do expect the IP branded worlds to roll out in the second half of the year. But again, we'll focus on Q2 for now. What else is going to happen? Again, because Earth 2 is waiting for around the Bitcoin halving for an exchange, I do expect Veve and Ecomi to be doing the same thing. I expect them to go and say, hey, guess what? We have an exchange or 2 coming in Q2. Again, I'm not really expecting it for Q1. I am expecting them to wait for the halving. This is just speculation. I haven't gotten any confirmation anywhere. No private conversations. Not about this. Another thing I also expect. Veve has never officially announced Alibaba. We've just had a post from David on Instagram at some point last year, I think over summer, and that was it. Why do I expect that? Well, the workings of that have been going on since 2022, 2022. So it's about time they do that. And again, it would make sense after the halving. They have a Japanese version of the Discord. They can go on and, we're about to get some Japanese IP. When does that get announced? Well, hopefully Q1, but again, probably Q2. They're not going to have rollout stuff in Asia when you have, next to no IP that they would enjoy from there. Speaking of IP, what else would we get? Well, I would say whatever Recur had, because again, one of my last interviews with David Yu, forget which one it was. Hey, David, how do we go and we keep these legacy companies like Nickelodeon, Hello Kitty, how do we keep them interested in Web3 when the last time they had gone into Web3 and dipped their toes in with Recur, it had failed? Don't worry, we already have some of those licenses. Oh, well, okay. Oh, heck me then. And I feel like nobody talks about that, and that is a tragedy. I would expect Hello Kitty, I would expect Nickelodeon, we already have Star Trek, but I would expect those types of licenses. When do they get announced? I don't know. But that's something I would expect. Music, that vertical, that and anime, that and manga, which one do we get first? I don't know. An article came out about, I did a video on this a few weeks ago, but an article came out about, jukeboxes and vinyls. So, and I haven't seen an article about Japanese stuff yet, but whichever one comes first, I do expect both of them by Q2 or at some point in Q2. In fact, I'm so confident that we will have a lot of things delivered by Q2. I even said that if we get none of these things delivered by the end of Q2, I would go on and I would take some of my VV collectibles and start selling them and putting them into other projects. I have no plans to do that. I mean, if none of this happens, sure, I'll do it because VV would have really dropped the ball, them and Ecomi. But again, I'm very confident. That's how confident I am because I've worked way too hard for my collection and I'm not letting it go all willy-nilly. But again, I'm a man of my word. If that happens, it makes sense. Don't need to be emotional about it. I'll do that. I will likely start buying OMI again in March after a couple things are done with. And again, that's if we're still down here, which we probably still should be. Again, I don't really expect crazy things in Q1. But again, this is just kind of my timelines on everything. This is just kind of my updates on how I feel. Even VV Viral said the other day, I'm okay with partial rollouts, interoperability for some brands, crypto pay-in for some jurisdictions, meaning that, hey, if we're not allowed to do it in the US, but we use Alibaba's Alipay over in China, if they're allowed crypto to gem, but us in the US or people in Europe are not, most people are fine with that. They're fine with they're fine with just getting something. OMI being purchasable on VV web app, I would love that. I don't expect that in Q2. I would expect that second half of the year. And then OMI to gem, same thing. Something else VV hasn't really talked about in a while is Vive. If anyone remembers the HTC Vive, that headset, that was one of the first headsets out there. I wonder what that partnership is going to be about. But somebody saw a video on X of a full-blown wedding ceremony between a male and an anime AI. The guy was wearing the Vive headset, which is a VV partner, and also mentions the rising number of males doing this. I wonder if we will see this in VV. This was a comment from JR4881. I think that'd be pretty fun. Another piece of good news, we have Jeremy Padower going out saying more than 25% of all toy sales are for adult collectors and adults at play. Over 9 billion in 2023. It's not just okay for an adult to play, it's cool. What does that mean? Well, out of that 9 billion, if we do some quick maths, what is 900 million times $3.6 billion were spent by adults for adults. And again, which way is the world changing to? It's not going backwards. It ain't going to go back to the way it was. It is going digital. VV is the number one in the space. They have no serious competition. The thesis hasn't changed with the company. Like, again, they sell a lot of what they make. They have money coming in every single week, every single day because of the secondary market. They're still making millions per month. Now, is it, like 8 million a month like they were? No, it's much less than that. But it's, again, if they're still making money, if they still have this, they still have, tens of millions in the war chest. And again, that's before raising any capital. They have a good amount of it. Moving on. Oh, also shout out to Slum Doge Millionaire or Pro the Doge. His quote, "This is not financial advice," end quote, movie does feature VV in one of the clips there. So that is him, and that is the photo in there. So again, that movie premiered in LA last night. I think you can actually watch it on Apple or Amazon. I'm not sure which one, but it's called "This is not financial advice." He does feature VV in there, so I thought that was really cool. There's somebody else that might feature VV in a movie. I don't know. Anyway, guys, that'll be it for me. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. Everyone say bye-bye to Dashi. Bye-bye, Dashi. Bye-bye. Meow, meow.